The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish things they simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap.
Every conspiracy you pretty much ever heard of is all pretty much true. 9/11 was an inside job. No one's ever walked on the moon. The vaccines are poison. Can you cough in my face?
The ChannelZer guys are the perfect guys for the job. I mean, are they talented broadcasters? No. Do they have charisma? No. Are they particularly interesting? Not really. And they're complete fucking whack jobs.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Now listen to me, Elvin. I'm offering you a spot on the Kirk Minahan YouTube channel where you do your own show with these conspiracies. Elvin's going to be a star in this world.
You guys know what this represents? Well, raise the calm before the storm.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
The reason that there are conspiracy theories is that because there are conspiracies, and if you disagree with that fact, you're a fucking moron. Yeah, Building 7 is a mystery for sure. I don't know why Building 7 collapsed.
It's rare that I'm the most sane person on a podcast.
I would bomb the shit out of him.
We introduce for the first time ever anywhere that...
What difference at this point does it make?
This has been not a dream of mine, but almost a dream of mine.
Oh, the ChannelZer guys.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Put that fucking disclaimer up at the beginning. They don't speak for us.
Yo, it's episode 21 of your favorite YouTube show, ChannelZer0. Welcome to tonight's festivities. You got E at ChannelZer0 E, Zach at ChannelZer0 Zach, Elvin at ChannelZer0 Show. We're all here to talk about the latest and greatest in theories. But we're going to start off on, I think, some like serious stuff, and we'll tread lightly. But there was a attack earlier in Beirut, Lebanon. Massive explosion. And we are not necessarily here. I won't speak for the other guys. I'm not here to tell you who's responsible for it, but I am here to simply ask the question, what's happening? What do you guys, is that fair?
I think that's what we do with pretty much every topic.
I'll tell you who's responsible. We'll get there.
Okay. All right, we'll get to the verdict then. So we'll start off with take a look at the actual footage during the explosion. Just before the explosion, there was a fire happening. And tell us if you see this object flying through the air towards what could be a target, we'll say.
منه ليك الدخنة كيف بعدها ليك الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله هذه شيء
Holy shit. Try to run it back really quick.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but you see that little black dot? Go back a few frames.
Hopefully it shows in the show because I can
it's-
see it. Like I can see it on my screen pretty clearly.
Right? Yeah, there it goes.
And
burrows it in, and then boom. Yep.
So, look, if you can't see it on our footage, you don't have to take our word for it. Go look it up. This is all over Twitter, all over the place. See if you can see that little black dot. To me, it looks like there's clearly something in the sky moving quickly towards the object.
Mm-hmm.
So let's put that under the into consideration file. Moving on, about a week ago, again, we're not pointing any fingers.
Really quick before we change, I'm going to go back to the still shot. Doesn't that blast look weird? It's like brown and almost like a rust color.
Yeah.
It's not like fire. It's not a. It's weird. It's almost like if I saw that, I would have thought it was like some sort of chemical explosion or something.
Right?
It doesn't look like a regular explosion.
And then just like the actual sonic wave that comes.
Yeah,
back.
dude, they said it blew out windows 15 miles away.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, I think there was like people in Cyprus that were saying they felt it and kind of heard it. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I saw online, which is insane.
Yeah,
and we're not going to show the videos of like the victims and stuff because there's some bad videos out there right now. I think it's like 2,500 injured so far that they know of, and 25 dead. So,
yeah,
and that's terrible.
I feel like that's unfortunately going to go way up.
Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah. The more they uncover,
these next two pieces of evidence are more around the turmoil that's been surrounding Lebanon as of late and historically, and key timing, key milestones that were fast approaching. So if we go to this next one, there was it's just a quick article. There was a Israel-Lebanon skirmish about a week ago. Mind you, it was a couple days before Eid, which is a major Muslim holiday. Hard to compare it. I guess maybe something like an Easter or Christmas, I suppose.
That was last Friday, right?
Yeah. So you had this skirmish, you had some peace and quiet for the holiday, and then shortly thereafter, a few days after Eid, this explosion happens.
I didn't know about this. Wow.
Yeah, so this actually says, this article is from July 27th.
Yeah.
So when was that exactly?
Last week.
So, yeah, that was 8 days ago. That was the previous Monday.
Yeah.
And I will say too, like I feel like this is not news. That stuff, them clashing.
That's
that
true.
just seems to be happening all the time, like to some extent.
Yeah.
Constant turmoil.
Right.
On Friday, there was an important court case coming to a conclusion. There was a verdict expected on the assassination of the Prime Minister of Lebanon. If we want to bring this article up, feel free to read it on your own time. But Hariri was the PM of Lebanon and was killed in a car bombing, I want to say about 15 years or so ago. And this was finally coming to a conclusion on Friday with 4 people they have in jurisdiction.
Wow. I'm glad you're here for this story. I don't know all the background. This is crazy.
Side note, why does everything take 15 years? The fucking prime minister dies. You take 15 years to get to court. Like, what the fuck? Speed that thing up.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. 15 years after a truck bomb killed Lebanon's former Sunni leader, a UN-backed court trying 4 suspects from Shiite Hezbollah delivers a verdict on Friday that could shake the country again.
Yeah.
Wow. So this was last Friday.
It was upcoming. The verdict was due Friday.
This coming
Friday. Yep.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. The article's from today talking about this upcoming Friday.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So again, painting a picture of some turmoil, both political, like hand-to-hand combat in the case of the Israel skirmish, and then some political turmoil with an assassination on a PM. Here's the last piece of evidence that I know E's going to appreciate. Do you know what was nearby the explosion site today?
I do, but I want to let someone else. I want Zach to guess.
Well, I read though.
So
a Rothschild bank. I mean, can you spit without hitting a Rothschild bank in this world though? Like, aren't they everywhere?
Pretty much. There's only a few countries they're not in right now. And yeah, was it 1.7 miles?
That's what it says here. Yeah.
Explosion.
Yeah.
Good. I hope it fucking got brought to the ground. Not the people. The people, yeah. Hope they're okay, except for the Rothschilds.
The people.
The people. So this concludes with sort of breaking news, right, E? We said, what, an hour ago, what Trump had to say on the Beirut situation?
Yeah, because coming into this, we were all kind of like up in the air trying to guess, was this just like a chemical explosion? What's the deal? And Trump came out with this about an hour ago.
Also, the narrative that went around right away, that it was a firework factory. And there was also this perfect storm of negligence. And there was an ammo or gun or some type of facility like right next door. So it's like all of these explosive, things all in this very close area. Fire started, and then we saw that.
The immediate narrative was a firework warehouse that also housed nitrate.
Right.
And it's been there for like 10 plus years or whatever in poor conditions. And it deteriorated to today where it just, blew up. I mean, come on.
Well, before we showed this clip, there's all, videos coming out with different angles. And one of the angles that I saw, very clearly there was a smaller fire going on with what looked like fireworks, like little sparks and things popping and flying around. So I think it actually might have been a firework facility there or nearby. That's what it looked like on the video. And also, well, let me play this and I'll say the rest of what I was thinking.
Are you confident that this was an attack and not an accident?
Well, it would seem like it based on the explosion. I've met with some of our great generals, and they just seemed to feel that it was. This was not some kind of a manufacturing explosion type of event. This was seems to be, according to them, they would know better than I would, but they seem to think it was a attack. It was a bomb of some kind.
So if it was, also he's not really saying like we definitely confirmed this was an attack. He's saying, the military
intelligence.
They believe it looks like. Why would there be a fire first? Like, wouldn't it just be a building and then a bomb comes in and bang? Like,
well, here's the thing. I'm thinking maybe there was an initial strike, because how did all of these people just happen to capture this on camera?
Well, because there was a fire.
Do you film fires? I don't know. I don't do that shit.
If a huge building is burning down, dude, people film everything.
Yeah, everyone's a loser.
There's a fire in your city. Yeah, you're probably going to get a bunch of footage of it. So that was the only thing, because you mentioned this right before we went on. And that was what I was thinking. Is like, why would there be this small fire and then this huge explosion? It looked like, a fire broke out. I just picture if a missile comes in, it's just a building standing there. There's no fire. Missile comes in, bang. Now everything blows up. But
maybe there was an inside job and somebody was lighting a flare to let them know, here's where you got to hit. You know what I'm saying?
I think technology is good enough now that they can find a building. They could shoot a Hellfire missile up your ass right now if they wanted.
So two things. One being, should the president be speculating then? You guys are saying this is military intelligence and all that, but shouldn't he just be keeping his mouth shut?
Yes.
He wasn't speculating, though. He was just saying, I'm being told this.
He shouldn't even
Should he reveal that, though?
Nah, I don't think so. He should have just been like, we don't know.
You guys, Zach, you're always about transparency, and he's trying to be transparent, and you're like, no, don't tell us this.
He's being transparent about opinions. They don't know. It just happened.
I'm sure they know way more than we know. I'm sure.
Don't say anything.
The other thing is,
I don't think he's being secretive. I'm not saying there's a lack of transparency. He's almost being too transparent. It's like, yeah, we think.
Yeah. Being brash.
That's why I love him.
So, but around the fire, isn't that sort of like, I hate to go here, but a lot of the conspiracy theories around 9/11 was that the fire actually was just accelerated some what is that stuff called? The coating that they use to burn down the beams and everything. I forgot the name of it now. The chemical.
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about? All right. No. Someone in the chat knows what I'm talking about. There was some sort of chemical that they found in the rubble and stuff that was allegedly used to burn the beams down because the fire wasn't strong enough in 9/11.
Right. Can jet fuel melt steel beams?
Yeah.
That was always the right.
Is there a possibility that this maybe was just a quick fire that was created, but the whole place was already rigged up or something?
And it triggered it?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, actually, I guess to run that back, I don't think Trump, did he say necessarily it was a missile? I think he
said bomb. At the end, he said a bomb.
It could have been something that was.
It could have been planted.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would make sense too. I personally, my theory on this is like, I don't know, like if it's a specific country per se. I think it's more of a deep state operation because they have to focus the world elsewhere than Ghislaine Maxwell and everything else that's going on with that. I think everything you see now is going to be a daily distraction, and it's going to get worse and worse.
So you think it's just a straight up false flag situation almost? Or like a generated false flag?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong, and I'll correct myself if I am, and I'll admit it. But hey, that's what I'm going with right now because everything's a distraction right now. Everything. So, and I feel bad for the victims. That's just the worst part. Is there's actually has to be victims of this.
Yeah.
You know what's like kind of ironic about that is the way the news cycle goes. The news cycle is the distraction. Before this bomb went off, people are already not talking about Ghislaine Maxwell. The Epstein files shit got released. And it was trending on Twitter. Everyone was talking about it. Fucking huge names implicated. Poof. Fucking gone. No one's talking about it already. Like less than a week later.
It's ridiculous.
Like this Beirut bombing, dude. People are not going to be talking about this tomorrow or in a few days.
Yeah.
You're right. By the end of the week, it'll be like, when was that again?
Yeah.
It almost feels like the mainstream media overestimates the attention span because you don't need to give us a new story. We're just going to naturally forget. You don't even need to do anything.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
It could be true. Crazy stuff. So you think this is a deep state play? That that could be interesting. Let us know what you think in the comments for this topic here. We'll probably continue talking about it here in the coming weeks. But let's get into something a little bit more fun, a little bit more lighthearted, which is the Pentagon having unearthly technology. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah. So I know last week we were talking about how we're going to hear more in the coming days about what we have on aliens and UFOs and all that. Yep. And this article, off-world vehicles not made on this earth. So that's, I mean, that my mind goes in a multitude of directions. Like, okay, were these built by aliens? Do we have more, I guess, like real estate in space than we actually are being told? Like, I've heard theories that we've had a base on the back of the moon and a base on Mars for tens of years. I don't necessarily believe it, but this kind of shit makes you wonder.
Yeah, I mean, it's a continuation of that story from last week, obviously, and they said like the Pentagon's on and off again once covert UFO program is decidedly back on. So when we remember last week, we talked about like the National Enquirer, and I don't know if you guys saw, I sent a couple links. I went digging through these archives and I found these articles, dude, from like the 50s, 60s, and they're referencing Pentagon and CIA UFO programs that were known back then. They were mainstream programs that people knew about. And they quote a lot of people from the government that are talking about UFOs, and they used a different term for it. I forget what it was, or a different acronym. But again, this has been going on like on a government high government level for like almost 100 years. So, just if there's smoke, there's fire. Why would the UFO? Why would the government be investing all this money into the research of all this stuff if there's absolutely nothing there for fucking decades?
Exactly. Maybe this ties into the Space Force and everybody won't be making fun of it soon.
Yeah. Well, that's because the guy, I forget who it was exactly. There was an astrophysicist who was like the one last week who said the U.S. government has obtained crafts not from this earth. It was like his exact quote or something like that. So yeah, knowing the U.S. government and extrapolating from that, yeah, they're fucking around with it. They're probably building crafts that we've not even can't even comprehend. Yep. I mean, like the stealth bomber, when that came out, that blew people's fucking minds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that came out a long time ago.
Yep.
It's always like the government. I forget. There's some saying that like the government's always like 25 years ahead of the public or whatever.
I've heard like 77, like that kind of shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, they have stuff that we're not even comprehending.
Yeah, like real quick, we'll have to do a show on the Malaysian flight that disappeared. Because I don't know if you guys know about the technology that changed hands as a result of that. Some cloaking technology that went into the Rothschilds' hands because that plane went missing. We will talk about that another time.
Wow.
That's a professional tease right there. I like it.
That's the stealth bomber's whole thing, right? Is cloaking.
Well, it's like cloaking to the naked eye, though, not just radar. So this is on a whole different level.
I
Yeah.
understand. Okay.
Well, I mean, we just saw potentially what looked like a barely visible missile to the naked eye.
Right.
Very
camera.
true.
So, potentially.
Potentially.
I'll say that. New York might be under attack. Speaking of aliens, did you guys see this thing?
No, I didn't look at it. I wanted to be surprised by it.
This thing is fantastic. Talk about like the alien invasion happening. This is another distraction they're trying to put in front of us, or fear, or whatever it is.
Can they take Bill de Blasio out of there?
I think he's gone. He got it. But this is the 911 scanner. Check this out. We don't have to play the whole thing. It's pretty funny though.
At the Bronxville Parkway at Morris Park Avenue by the Bronx Zoo, there's a caller saying there's a low flying object that look like a UFO near the Bronx River Parkway and near the Bronx Zoo. Aviation base copy. Oh, what?
Aviation base central. That's a low-flying airplane?
They say some type of look like a UFO near the Bronxville Parkway. It's round. Its shape is round, low-flying aircraft, and black in color, blackish silverish color.
Why is everything when it comes to UFOs grainy and shitty quality?
It
Even
is.
the fucking audio.
How funny was that
Great.
guy's reaction? What?
What?
Exactly. So obviously that's no evidence at all, but I thought it was pretty funny.
I was excited for a visual, but either way, that was pretty good.
Yeah. I feel like that would be the reaction too.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That last thing I'll say on the UFOs. I think that's the problem with the general public. Just like this, the pedophile rings in high places, people's brains don't want to go there. They can't even, they're not even open-minded enough to think that maybe this is a possibility.
Yep.
They don't want to go there. It shakes their whole foundation too much.
It's called cognitive dissonance. It literally
Right.
shakes your core and what
Right.
you like actually believe is true.
Exactly.
People can't handle it.
Exactly.
All right.
We talked about technology. Let's talk about earthly technology and these Silicon Valley mafia types that are getting dragged a little bit in these courtrooms, which I like. Nothing's going to happen, but should we just let this play out, or do you want to set it up?
Well, if you see on there, Zach, like the time to play it.
Yes.
So yeah, just to give a background on this, this was last week. There was a hearing for like all the big tech CEOs with the Senate, and they were, basically grilling them on a bunch of, different topics. It was all over the place, but it was in regards to, China retaining information, the data of their users, and protecting them, and all that. And basically, they were coming down hard on them, which was great. But just like any Senate hearing, there's always going to be Congress hearing. There's going to be some type of infighting because these people hate each other. So, Jim Jordan had just finished going after the Google CEO about everything, and made him basically say that, he won't slant results in the direction of Joe Biden for this upcoming election, which I doubt that's true because they did the same thing for Hillary. But anyways, he got that out of him. And then this is the next Democrat is about to start asking questions, and they start going at it. It's pretty good.
And the other big thing that they were talking about in these hearings in general was the these big tech companies and their willingness to comply with the government, like working with the government and military and government operations and things like that. That was a big part of it.
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'd like to redirect your attention to antitrust law rather than fringe conspiracy theories. Mr. Bays.
They all say conspiracy theories.
Yep.
They always use that fucking term.
Put people down.
Our investigation.
Mr. Chairman, we have the email. There is no fringe.
Excuse me, it's not your time.
Mr. Jordan, you do not have the time. Please be respectful of your colleague. Someone directly controls the time.
Put your mask on.
When someone Mr. Raskin, Mr. Jordan, want to talk about masks.
Mr. Jordan, Ms. Scanlon.
Why would the Deputy Secretary of Treasury unmask Michael Flynn's name, Mr. Raskin? And what I want to know is, when someone comes after my motives for asking questions, I get a chance to respond.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you.
That's basically that.
Investigation uncovered.
So he actually fired back at the conspiracy theory term. Like
Yeah,
the way she said
I love
that.
him.
Yeah.
He's great. And real quick, we didn't cover this last week with the Bill Barr thing. In one line of questioning where Jim Jordan was talking to him, he actually got Bill Barr to tell us, or everybody, that there's actually an investigation going on into a separate investigation going on into the unmasking of Michael Flynn, because there was 49 unmasking requests from 39 different individuals. And like Jim Jordan just said, people from like the Secretary of the Treasury were doing unmasking, like people who had like no business doing this. So Bill Barr said there's actually an investigation into the, people actually unmasking him. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
And just so I recall, the unmasking means people asking for the names of redacted information in the documents?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Speaking of redacting names, they're trying to redact QAnon as a movement all over social media. I mean, the people that watch this show probably see how persistent we are with our tweets. So they're probably not surprised to hear that QAnon believers, followers, intrigued by, come back after they leave.
Yeah, that's the best thing about like this movement. It's like a family. It's so many people, because we talked about it last week. They were banning over 15,000 QAnon promoting accounts. I was shadow banned. I think you've been shadow banned, Elvin. But people are coming back with brand new accounts and over 100,000 followers like within a week. I thought that was absolutely fascinating and just shows that Twitter can't stop it.
All they're doing is empowering the movement. That's what we said.
Firing them up.
That's it. I mean, this always happens. Like it's a tale as old as time itself. Like you try to shut it down, and all you're doing is giving it more attention and throwing more fuel on the fire. It's going to backfire. Again, if QAnon and Q and this whole movement is a conspiracy theory and not a threat, why are they so vigilant about it? It's so contradictive.
That's right, Zach.
It feels like every institution of America is taking like a half step too much. They're pushing a little too far, like social media with the banning and the education with the whole like we're never opening schools again. That's all I keep hearing. Like it's common to be like your kids aren't allowed to go to school. Like all of these like major institutions of the country are just trying to take a little too much, and it's not working in their benefit. People are getting pissed.
Exactly. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah. I actually heard a Democrat on the radio today talking about how he's like petitioning to get history class out of school because it favors white people and like just no more history. And it's like, it just shows that they're trying to erase history because the Democrats are the party of slavery. They are the party of the KKK. They are the ones that did all of this shit. And they want to blame it on the Republicans. It's crazy. And people believe it these days because they don't look back. They don't pay attention.
I mean, that is straight up 1984. I mean, that's exactly what the book is about.
They're tearing down statues.
Right. The whole thing, literally rewriting history.
Yeah.
You know,
it's so crazy.
If you've read the book, there's like there's the line where they talk about who they're at war at, and they're at war with Oceania, and they're like, we've always been at war with Oceania, even though they weren't. But that's the narrative, because once they flip and they have a new enemy, that's always been the enemy, and they erase all the records of peace with that person before, and they erase all the records of war with the other people, and they literally rewrite history. And that's what they're trying to do right now.
Yeah,
so crazy.
Spoils of victory is history, I suppose. But I will say this though: if they take out history, for example, or take out certain parts of schooling, you got to imagine it's just going to be private schools throughout. Like it's just like the public school system will just be gone. At that point.
Yeah, and by the way, Bill Barr did say history is written by the winners. Didn't he say that?
He did.
So as long as this movement wins this whole social war right now, then history will remain as it is. But the whole thing's insane. I also think sometimes though, when we hear stories like that, like we can't teach history or we can't think. It's one guy. It's like,
but they're giving a platform, and people probably buy into this.
I know, but the problem with these narratives, like, do you guys know anybody who agrees with that?
No,
I don't know anybody who agrees with 99% of this nonsense. Like,
it's like indoctrination though of the kids. You just get them when they're young, and that's all they know. Dude, I think you guys know this. They changed how math is done like a decade ago. How they teach math.
Common Core. I've seen it. It is horrendous. It's more confusing.
You take that, right? And then you want to take that extra half step, which is now we're going to like start pulling history out. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's always like that extra little take.
Yep. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, they're actually this. I mean, this is what happens, I guess, when you try to impart this type of schooling or just like crazy progressiveness like that. Just like with the QAnon thing, it pushes people on the other side to fight back even stronger and stand up for their beliefs. And you're going to see, I think the private school thing is, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Like the free market is going to do its own thing. Once the government controlled schools and all these things are completely like they already are. But once they get to that type of point, people are just going to pull their kids out and then it's going to start their own private.
But it'll only be like kids like that are pretty much like poverty or close to that line.
Yeah,
that
that don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice.
But Trump is trying to put into play school choice. I don't know if you guys know about this, where like he basically gives they're like grants or something, or so they're like certificates that they give to poor families so that they have an option for schooling for their kids, so they can actually go to a charter school or a private school if they want to. So that's something he's trying to get in place. Obviously, the Democrats don't want that because it empowers their base. So
yeah, I was going to
want that.
I was going to say that's as long as the government is subsidizing those grants, which if it goes too far, they won't do that anymore.
You know what pisses me off again? We're getting like on an education rant, but this is something that kind of came to me this week that I just got pissed off about. Thinking about school and coronavirus, right? This world that they're teaching kids online. These public schools that claim that they never have money, they never have resources and stuff. In a matter of weeks, they spin up online curriculums for kids that didn't even have computers, like in their classroom, like a month before that. How do you have that ready to go, but aren't using it already, like in day-to-day practice?
So I kind of work in this space, like selling technology. So they actually were hit hard at first, and then they all, once they got their government grants, then they all started purchasing everything right away to get the online schooling going. So the government did have to help them out. They didn't have the budgets, but I definitely hear where you're coming from, because it was a pretty quick, like, oh shit, yeah, these guys never have money, and all of a sudden, like, they got state-of-the-art technology.
Well, I'll say from my experience, which is my local school, they actually had a remote learning plan in place. Now,
oh wow,
the teachers were not exactly ready. It was like break glass in case of emergency. Like they weren't ready for it, but they had like a plan written up, like what to do in case something like this happens. And so they sent it out to everybody. And basically, I mean, granted, we're fortunate that everybody in my town has a computer or an iPad or whatever. So like that part of it wasn't a problem. It was, but they actually had a plan for it. I was pretty surprised by it. They haven't, they haven't like delivered on it too well, but they had thought about this.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like these schools in rough areas that have nothing, they're able to, all right, I'll give you the grant money on the technology, but they're able to put a program in place and learn how to use the software. That actually kind of surprises me that they were able to do that quickly. But all of the money that's going into these systems, they should have already had it then, I guess is my point. Like they shouldn't have even needed a grant to get it. They should have already had it in place.
Well,
absolutely.
It's funny how we always talk about lack of funds. It's like, okay, we need $2 trillion. Bang, we got $2 trillion.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what? So it's there. If we need it, it's there.
Yeah, it is there. All right. We digress a bit there on that. The election, it's coming up. The clock is ticking. And there's murmurs and whispers in the wind that people want to move the election, cancel the election. Joe Biden's not going to do it. Trump wants to postpone it.
No, he doesn't. That was a troll move.
Stand on that, E.
That was a troll move, him saying that.
Well, he's also said he won't even accept the results.
Okay, let's think about this. Are they really going to have trouble escorting a 74-year-old man out of office? I don't think. Like, no, I'm staying. Like, they're going to drag his ass out of it. Anyway, he's not going to do that. He said the same thing in 2016. It doesn't matter. He's going to win. I'm convinced at this point. 100% landslide. I'm calling it now. Landslide. Like, not even contestable.
Wow. Okay. All right.
But anyways.
Yeah. All right. Where does that take us? Does that take us kind of where all of this started in 2020? It feels like an eternity ago. Obamagate. It's been long forgotten about.
Well, actually, can you do the one right before that, Skippy, in his War Games? Because this, I actually saw this on Tim Pool's podcast, and I was like pretty shocked. I guess in the past week, the elite people, some politicians and whatnot, decision makers were playing war games based on how they thought the election would play out. And they did it with all these different scenarios where it comes out, if Biden wins and Trump doesn't accept it, or if Trump wins the electoral vote but not the popular vote. There was never a scenario where Trump wins in a landslide, by the way. And there were Republicans involved in this. And this is like literally a thing where they do like Dungeons and Dragons type shit. Like they're like rolling 10-sided dice to like see how shit rolls out. But the funny thing is like they're basically in a lot of these, they're planning on like some type of civil war to erupt after this election. And the person who was representing Biden's campaign in this simulation was John Podesta, Skippy Podesta. So that just shows you how evil and corrupt this group is. I just wanted to let you guys know about this because I was just like, if this is their plan, if like Trump wins, they're going to try to start a civil war, which is pretty wild.
We're kind of already in a civil war. It feels like the beginnings of one. And also the Podesta thing, politics in general, it just shows like the nepotism of like the same people work the campaigns every fucking time.
Yeah, right.
Look at Roger Stone on the other side. He was on Nixon's campaign and like everybody else is through to today. Like that's like the whole, like presidents come and go, but there's these institutions and these people who are always there, always in the background, always pulling levers and fucking telling people to say shit and make decisions. It's like always the same core people. Podesta's one of them.
It's true.
So are you not, if they had results where Trump won in a landslide, would you be okay with this exercise of them just testing different probabilities and how it would play out?
Why are they doing this? Like these people are probably the same people that are funding the riots and all of the problems. If they just fucking went away, we'd just have an election. I think everything would be fine.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so are you saying that the end result, no matter what the scenario, was a civil war? I just want to make sure
not no matter what, but like it was, basically like worst case scenario and all these things was like, uprising of the people or Trump won't leave office and they have to send the military in and like, okay, you're going to send the military in after an old guy? Come on. Like,
So it does say here, the sessions begin with scenarios of what might happen on election day. A big Biden win, a narrow Biden win, a Trump win in the electoral college coupled with a loss in the popular vote, and then played war games to ponder what might follow. So you're right. It doesn't say like a Trump win.
Right. Exactly. They just can't accept that as a possibility.
That's odd.
Yeah.
I bet you it was interesting to be a part of that. I will say that much. I'll grant you that it's twisted and bizarre, but being a fly on the wall was probably pretty intriguing.
Probably hear some things. Yeah, for real.
So, and in regard, I thought this was funny. I just wanted to squeeze it in. This was the tweet I sent you guys in regards to this election and this voting.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Like 114,000 likes. That's so many on Twitter. Obviously, like this is a joke that is obviously ringing true with so many. Like everybody's aware of what this mail-in voting means and what's going to happen. Like this joke would not go viral if like the vast majority of the public understands that this whole thing's a fucking joke.
Can I just say something? I got an argument with one of my Democrat friends the other day. We you
don't say.
Yeah, but we're cool. But it was about that whole thing. Can you pull that up one more time? So, the mail-in voting. So he was basically conflating absentee voting and mail-in voting. And I think that's what the news is feeding everybody. It's like, well, we've been doing mail-in voting for years. And it's like, no, absentee voting is something you have to register for. It's verified with a signature, all this shit. Where like mail-in voting, universal mail-in voting is just people finding their fucking dead relatives getting them, their cats getting them. Like, I don't even know how some of these things come about. It's crazy.
Well, did you see too that I saw something that said they're going to accept mail-in votes without postage on it?
Yeah, I saw that. And late,
yeah.
Too.
So the election won't end on that day.
Yeah,
it never does. It feels like there's always like, oh, recount. We got to redo this. We got to redo that. But the no postage thing, it's not a huge deal, but it is like because that just means like at the last second, people can just start fucking writing things, put it in an envelope, put it in the pile.
And the ones that are stacking up at post offices.
Yeah,
who's to say someone can't just mark all those off and just jam them in? Like,
totally
bad.
Yeah,
it's messy. It's all messy.
All right, let's hit this next Twitter. As you pull up this Obamagate one, just want to let you guys know if you're watching this on Tuesday night, or Wednesday night, sorry, you'll see another episode tomorrow. We're going to break this one up into 2 like we did last week, so you guys get a couple nights of Channel Zero. In the meantime, tell us about Obamagate here.
Well, let's just let the president speak about it.
Okay.
Breaking news tonight, President Trump telling us just moments ago on this broadcast what he is hearing about the Justice Department investigation of Obamagate.
We caught them spying. Now it's up to our Attorney General. As you know, I've wanted them to do it. I didn't want to get overly involved. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. But I do hear it's breathtaking what they found. That's all I can say, breathtaking. And hopefully it'll come out soon. But it's beyond what anybody ever thought even possible, how bad it is. How bad it is and how corrupt it is. But I'm going to let them do that. I'm not going to do that. It's a horrible thing that took place, and it should never be allowed to happen to another president.
I mean, obviously there's the hype, you know, that's kind of his thing. He's an entertainer, but breathtaking. And it sounds like more and more has been revealed to him from the investigation. I am just salivating over this.
What do you got?
We've heard about this for so long. And he's said this before. He said this like 4 years ago, didn't he? Like they spied on me. They spied on me.
Yeah.
Just they've been talking about it for so fucking long.
Dude, this is amazing.
There's a lot of fronts like happening at a lot of angles. Like there's just like fights on fronts is what I meant to say. Like there's just like everyone's battling. There's courtroom shit. There's fucking actual war. There's the fucking Petalwood stuff. There's like everything's mixed in. It's almost fucking trying to feel a little fucking crazy.
You know what it's kind of like is like when there was the big recession and we bailed out all the banks, and it's like they're too big to fail. These establishments, they believe like they're too big to fail. We can't let this information out because we can't expose the corruption because it'll topple the system and there'll be fucking anarchy and we'll be back to square one. So we just got to let this corruption slide. We got to let it go by. It's the same thing with the big banks and bailing them out. It's like they're doing shady shit. They crash. Guess what? We're going to prop them right back up just so that like we can keep operating and as business as usual. It's like the same thing. It's like, no, they need to topple. The banks should not have been bailed out. These guys the corruption needs to be exposed.
Mm-hmm. So are you saying the Great Awakening feels no different than any other kind of turbulent time in history? Right now,
There's never been more happening at one time.
I just need to see to believe. I need to see people get arrested and the shit come to fruition finally, which is what I say every show. So
we're getting closer.
We are getting closer. One of the most hated scumbags of Channel Zero might be one of the first ones to go down. Our friend Ellen D.
That's right, Ellen with the D.
Ugh. Not a fan of this chick. Obviously, maybe you haven't heard all sorts of sexual. Is that harassment or assault or a combination of both?
Combination of both from like her producers, like grabbing guys' dicks and stuff on set.
So maybe you guys can educate me on this one because all the stuff that I saw basically was saying Ellen's an asshole and not a good person, but the sexual assault stuff was like her producers. It wasn't her.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Right. We haven't gotten to the kids yet, so yeah, just that for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, her producers like grabbing dicks and stuff like that and sexually harassing guests. And then that guy who used to be on Everybody Loves Raymond, the brother Brad Garrett, he came out and was talking about how Ellen's a douchebag to everybody and just a terrible person. So and now the show's canceled, it looks like. Is that I mean, it's got to be hanging on by a thread if it's not.
I was going to say, has it been canceled or has she been arrested? And well, I guess it would still be canceled in that case, but is there more to the story?
I haven't seen her recently. Have you guys?
Had that ankle bracelet picture a few weeks back.
I think there's shit popping, man. I mean,
you guys see this too? This was, I'm just pulling, I didn't put it on the sheet. Kevin Hart, he wrote this big sappy thing about like, it's crazy to see my friend go through this, and I've known her for years. She's such a great person, and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, there's literally tons of people coming out saying that there was sexual assault on the set, that she's an asshole, and all this stuff. It's like, why are you standing up for her?
Yeah.
And by the way, he has 97 million followers.
Wow.
97 million. What the fuck? But like, why even post that? Like,
Right?
Like, it's always that stuff always confuses me. Like, why can't you just call, if you guys are really friends and you're defending, just call her and be like, hey, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Like, why do you put that out there?
Maybe he feels like he owes her for something.
Maybe because like that's only like, what if she is caught up in all this other stuff? Now you look like a fucking asshole.
That's true.
As well, like, why would you even put that out there?
Yeah. Surprised he said anything because he got canceled a couple of years ago, right, for doing some award show.
Yeah, they took him off. They took him off, like, I want to say it was like the Academy Awards or some big award show because he made like anti-gay jokes.
Like
oh yeah,
he said if my kid is gay, I'm going to disown him, and he said like shit like that.
Oh yeah, and I think like Ellen was like the first one to like forgive him publicly and stuff like that. So that's probably why is like he probably feels like he owes her.
That makes sense.
Kind of saved him in some way. I don't know.
No, that makes sense.
Have you noticed what her set looks like though on this next one? Next,
I have.
You
Pull
know,
it up.
I think, did we look at this before?
I mean, I've seen it before. I don't know if we ever talked about it on the show though.
I don't think we have. Maybe, but it looks very similar to
Epstein Island. Yeah, with the temple and everything.
Palm trees.
Yeah, she's evil.
Like, you might say, oh, the palm trees, whatever, not a big deal. But even like the building, the blue and white or blue and silver, whatever that is.
Right. That's pretty close.
Yeah, that is pretty close.
Yeah, we're getting Zach. I love this.
There's certain things that it's like, I forget what we were talking about last week, but it's like, what are the chances that that's not, coincidence? It's just really slim.
Right.
I'm playing the numbers game. That's not a coincidence.
Oof.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this one up with the some comic relief, Elvin. I think
I like that. Play this next one. This is actually, I thought, pretty funny.
I haven't seen this, so I don't know what it is, but I'm excited.
Well, if you to be called a beta male on national television, it's great. One? Yes,
nice.
Far left radical. They are so far left now. They're falling off the edge, and they want to control the people. And the Democrats cannot be trusted at all.
Jesse, if the virus is a hoax,
why would we need to
close the election? Why do we have to do that, Jesse? No, wait, why don't you explain yourself? Because you're conflicting.
Why are you always interrupting, man? Don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you.
Because you're a lying fool, and I don't want the people of the world to hear you.
I don't need you to interrupt me, Mr. Beta Male. Hold on. The president.
Yeah, you get
the come on out here.
I love this guy. I love this guy. And this is just like the Democrats when they were interviewing Barr. They don't let you get a word in because if you actually tell the truth, it destroys their narrative.
It's true.
Good for this dude. Calling him a beta. That's emasculating on live TV.
Beta male.
All right. We'll see you guys on the clock tomorrow. But we're actually going to record it right now. See you in a second. Peace.
Peace.
You are here because you have seen the imminent destruction of the United States of America as we know it. It began with COVID. It began with fear. We were forced into lockdown. No work, no school, no social interactions. The only form of communication was social media and mainstream media, both of which are compromised. Then the stimulus checks were sent out to quell us, to keep us calm. Then tracking and tracing was implemented. Then riots began. Then the defunding of our law enforcement. Then the systematic destruction of our historical monuments. This is no longer about a virus. This is about control. This is about the destruction of the constitutional republic our forefathers fought and died for 244 years ago. They want us to keep the fight on social media, where they control the narrative. They want us in our homes, muzzled with masks, arguing with our friends over what happens next. They want us afraid. They want us to feel helpless. They want us to wait until the fight comes to our homes, our house, so that one at a time they can slowly pick us apart. They want to make an example of us and do it while we're not organized, while we're not in great numbers or in masses. This is not about a virus. This is about division. This is about taking away our freedoms one at a time, slowly, so that by the time you recognize what's happening, it is too late. You are witnessing the destruction of the Republic and the installation of socialism and communism. But you are here because you've seen this all coming. You are here because you have a voice that has not been heard. You are here because you are the lifeblood of this great nation. We are the silent majority. And we are done being silent. For massive change to occur, massive action must be taken. I want you to remember this. It comes straight from our Declaration of Independence. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. This fight is in your hands. The success of this mission is in your hands. Nothing like this has ever been done before. And I'll say it again. We are the silent majority. We are limitless. We will succeed. This is our country, and we are taking it back.